In December 2024, GitHub made Copilot free. 2,000 completions a month, no credit card for every developer on the platform. What happened next is the fastest growth in GitHub's history. 36 million new developers joined in 2025, more than one every second. And of the developers who joined that year, nearly 80% used Copilot within their first week. By July 2026, Microsoft put the number at 50 million users. 4.7 million of them are paying. That's up 75% in a year. 90% of the Fortune 100 are in there somewhere. This is not a trend anymore, it's the default. The interesting question is no longer whether developers use this, it's whether they're using it well, because the evidence says most of the value goes to a subset who are. If your mental model of this is autocomplete finishing your line, it's about 3 product generations out of date. It went from single-line completion to whole functions to chat that can see your repository to reviewing your pull requests to agents that open them. Copilot Code Review has now processed more than 60 million reviews. That's 10 times growth in under a year. Microsoft says 1 in every 3 pull requests on GitHub now involves an agent somewhere in the process. And it isn't one product. Copilot is the default. Cursor rebuilt the editor around it. Tab 9 will run entirely inside your own network. JetBrains, Amazon, and Google each ship one wired into their own stack. They're not interchangeable. Copilot wins on reach because it's already inside the tools and the workflow your team uses. Cursor wins on depth of editing. Tab 9 wins when your code legally cannot leave the building. Amazon and Google win when you're already deep in their cloud. The honest advice is boring. Start with whatever is already integrated with your source control. The integration matters more than the model. Fair question, and there is real evidence, not just vendor decks. The cleanest early result, 95 developers were asked to build an HTTP server in JavaScript. Half had Copilot, half didn't. The Copilot group finished in 71 minutes. The control group took 161, 56% faster. That's a small study. 70 people actually finished, and the confidence interval is wide, from 21% to 89%. But the direction is not ambiguous. The bigger test came later. 3 randomized field experiments at Microsoft, at Accenture, and at a Fortune 100 manufacturer. 4,867 developers. Real work over months. Completed pull requests rose 26%. Builds rose 38%. And the build success rate barely moved. They shipped substantially more without a measurable collapse in code that compiles. Here's the part that matters most, and it's the part that gets left out. The gains were not evenly distributed, not close. Junior developers gained 21 to 40%, senior developers gained 7 to 16%. Developers new to the company gained 27 to 39%, long-tenured developers 8 to 13%. Same tool, same company, roughly 4 times the benefit depending on who was holding it. And there's a study that pushes that further. 16 expert maintainers working on their own repositories, projects they'd spent 5 years in, 1 million lines of code they wrote themselves, were 19% slower with AI tools. Put those together and the pattern is clear. The value is highest where your familiarity is lowest. New code base, unfamiliar language, boilerplate, tests, documentation, that's where it pays. Deep in code you know by heart, it can genuinely slow you down. So how did the teams getting the most out of this actually work? 4 things come up over and over. 1. Give it context in writing. Copilot reads a file called .github/copilot-instructions.md. Cursor reads rules files. 20-plus tools now read a shared standard called agents.md, used by over 60,000 open-source projects. GitHub's own guidance is specific. An elevator pitch for the project, your tech stack and how you actually use it, your coding conventions, your folder structure, and where the scripts live. Keep it under 2 pages. Keep it general, not task-specific. Cursor's advice is the same shape, under 500 lines and reference files rather than pasting their contents, so it doesn't go stale. 2. Match the mode to the job. Inline completion for flow. Chat for explain this and how do I. Agent mode for a scoped, well-defined change you can review in one sitting. 3. Review it like it's a stranger's code. Because it is. The single biggest complaint developers report, 66% of them, is output that's almost right but not quite. 45% say debugging AI-generated code takes longer than they expected. Only 3% say they highly trust the accuracy. 3/4 go and ask another human when the answer smells wrong. That's not cynicism, that's the correct workflow. 4. Ignore acceptance rate as a success metric. One company measured a 33% acceptance rate across 400 developers and found it varied mostly by language, high in TypeScript and Python, low in HTML and SQL. It tells you what you're writing, not how well it's going. There's also a clean split in what to hand over. Delegate the work where correctness is cheap to verify. Tests, boilerplate, data transforms, migrations, a first draft of documentation, anything where you'll know within seconds whether it's right. Keep the work where being wrong is expensive and quiet. Architecture, security boundaries, concurrency, anything touching money or personal data. Veracode has been testing this for 2 years, and AI-generated code still passes security checks only about 55% of the time, even as syntax correctness went past 95%. One pattern is worth stealing outright. Write the test first, then let it fill in the implementation. You get a verifier before you get the code, which turns a guess into something the machine can check itself. And if you're rolling this out to a team, don't just buy licenses and hope. The most carefully documented rollout ran a 5-engineer assessment, then a 126-engineer trial, with mandatory security review training before anyone got access. Adoption was near total. 81% of developers at Accenture installed it the same day they got the license. Individual developers adopted this because it was free and it helped. Companies adopted it for a different reason. An architect at Accenture put it plainly, "We have more work than developers, we just can't get to it all." Accenture started with a 20-developer pilot. They now have 12,000 developers on it. But the thing that actually unblocked enterprise procurement wasn't productivity. It was legal. Microsoft, Amazon, and SourceGraph all now offer IP indemnity. If generated code triggers a copyright claim, the vendor defends you. As of April 2026, Microsoft removed the last technical precondition on that coverage for GitHub. Then the data questions got answered. Copilot business and enterprise code is never used for training. Data residency for the US and EU shipped in April 2026. Tab 9 will run air-gapped, fully inside your own infrastructure. And then the governance arrived. Manage policy files, audit logs, and dashboards showing which licensed developers are actually using their seats. That's the real adoption story inside big companies. Not a demo that impressed someone. A checklist that finally cleared legal, security, and procurement in the same quarter. Which brings us to the number that actually explains the whole curve. A Copilot business seat costs $19 per developer per month. $228 a year. Dora models a fully loaded engineer at $176,000 a year. The seat is about 1/8 of 1% of the engineer. Put it in hours. That engineer costs roughly $85 an hour. The license pays for itself if it saves under 3 hours, not 3 hours a week, 3 hours a year. Every study we've looked at, including the skeptical one, is arguing about effects far larger than 3 hours a year in either direction. Dora modeled it at organization scale, a 500-engineer company, $8.4 million of investment, $11.6 million of first-year value, 39% return, paying back in about 8 months. That's why the procurement conversation is short. At this price, the tool doesn't have to be transformative, it just has to not be useless. The rest of the market price is within the same rounding error. Amazon Q Developer, $19. Cursor, $20 for an individual, $40 per seat for teams. Tab 9, $39 or $59 for the agentic tier, and that one buys you the right to run it air-gapped. There is one real way to waste this money, and it isn't the price. It's paying for seats nobody opens. GitHub now ships a dashboard that segments your licensed developers by whether they actually use it and flags the passive ones. If you buy 100 seats and 40 go untouched, your effective cost per active developer just went up by 2/3. One more thing changed in June 2026. Copilot moved to usage-based billing. Seat prices stayed the same, and code completion still costs nothing extra, but heavy agent use now draws down a credit balance. If you're forecasting spend, that's the line item that moves. So, AI-assisted coding is rising because the arithmetic isn't close, that part is settled. But cheap doesn't mean automatic. The measured gains range from 40% to -19 using the same category of tool. What separated them wasn't the model, it was context, task selection, and review discipline. Write the instructions file, point it at the work you're least familiar with, read every line before you merge it. The license costs less than $1 a month. The judgment about when to trust it is still the expensive part, and that part is still yours.